Never wondered why it looks so easy for others to get really good at art, starting from scratch. Never wondered why the same does not apply to you and you're always stuck. Well, I just discovered the best way to learn art, and matter of fact, you can use it for any other skill. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to apply it in your own art in 3 simple steps. Now, to put some context into this, my name is George. I work as a 3D and digital artist. I've been doing this for more or less 3 years. You see, as a digital artist, there's one important factor we cannot do without. That's power, or as we like to call it here, NEPA, or access to any form of it. Now, where I currently am, we have it in really low supply, and this disturbs the productivity of I and any other artists in this region. So this has been an issue for me, and I've been thinking on a solution for this for more than a year, and I finally discovered it. I call it the law of sowing and reaping. I now discovered that it's principle. It will interest you that it's actually a principle that works in almost every area in life, if not every area in life. When going through it, I realized something. The origin of this principle comes from the Bible and is called principles of life. And that would mean that they can be applied to any area under life, right? Sounds crazy until I tried it and it works so well. I'm going to show you now. Step 1. Sowing. Now in this step, you're going to take note of 2 things. The field and the seed. The field is you, or your mind actually. And the seed is basically that skill you want to learn in art. Now why I didn't mention this, but there's actually a step before this. Call it step 0. And there are a few things you need to be clear on before you can start step 1. Now the first one is you need to be clear on what you are missing and what you want to learn. People say knowledge is the first key or the first step to wisdom, but it's actually ignorance. Yes, because you don't learn anything because you know it. You learn anything because you know you don't know it. So before you know anything, you have to not know it first, and you have to know that you don't know it first. Make sense? Oh, what I mean is that you have to be clearly aware of the area you are lacking. Now the next is that you must do one thing at a time, and only one thing at a time. Failed at this step so many times, trying to juggle multiple things. And while some may call it multitasking, I just call it one way to screw up many things at the same time. Trust me, you have better chances of doing one thing at a time than trying to juggle. You understand what I mean? Now the next is this. Never feel or tag anything too hard or impossible to learn. This is where many people get it wrong. Nothing is too hard to learn. Nothing is impossible to learn. It is hard. It may be hard, yes, but it's not impossible to learn. In fact, you have forgotten more things than you have learned. Now, back to step 1. After you take note of this, you get every resources, every video, every book, every course, every tutorial from that skill you want to learn, and you study it. You consume it. At first, even if you don't understand what you're watching or what you're taking in, but just take it in. Consume it. Read it. Watch it. Download every content you can find on that particular skill, that particular subject. Then gradually you begin to understand it. And make sure you understand it enough to talk about it, to tell someone about it. This is important. You're going to need it for the next step. Step 2. Watering. This is the step where most people get stuck at. Because all you have to do in this step is practice. Now, people do this before step 1. And that's why they get frustrated when they don't see results. Now, whether you are either drawing, modeling, painting, editing, animating, you're just going to be doing the thing in this step. You're just going to be putting the hours. Or as Vusi likes to call it, time under tension. Simply because the goal of learning is mastery, not knowledge. Just because you know something doesn't mean you have learned it. An example for this is in sports. Now there are a lot of people that know about sports that are not athletes. So what do I mean here? What you're going to be doing here is what you learned in step 1, what you understand in step 1. You practice it here. Now, the revelation for this came from the Bible, particularly in the parable of the sower in Matthew 13. Jesus talks about a sower that sows on 4 different kinds of soil: the wayside, the stony, the thorny, and the good. Now, I noticed something interesting in this parable. If you look at the stony and the good, there are some similarities there. Now, in the stony, there was not much soil, so the roots were not deep. And when the sun came, it scorched it. And in the good, there was a ton of soil, so the roots could go as deep as they wanted. And when the sun came, it nourished it, and it brought forth fruit. Now, Jesus explained this to his disciple, that the meaning behind this parable is that when the word came, the people received it with joy, but they did not understand it. So when life brought challenges, the words that was in them could not bring forth life. But in the case of the good soil, people received it with joy, and they went back and understood it well. So when life came with challenges, that which they know very well became the answer to the problem they faced in the future. Or that which they know became the answer to their problems. So in summary, the answer you know well and understand today solves the question you see tomorrow. A good example of this is when you're in school. So you're preparing for an exams and you read at night. You prepare for your exams, and the next morning you get to the hall, and while you are sat on the desk, I can see that 70% of all of you, 70% of all you read, all you studied, you either don't remember or you remember vaguely. Now when the question comes in, you notice that the question reminds you of the answers that you forgot a while ago. That's what is that principle that is at work here. That same principle works here too. Now notice what the parable tells us here. The word that they received was their answer, and the son, representing the challenges, the trials, was the question. So when you get materials, when you watch videos, when you watch tutorials, courses on any skill in art that you want to learn, that is your answer. How much fruit you can bring from it will depend on how well you understand it. Now, how this will apply to art is this. You study a particular course, let's say anatomy. You study anatomy and you go back to practice. You do some studies, you try to get the anatomy right, you try to trace over sport models or weightlifting models just to apply what you have learned. Now you doing that, you in the process of that entire exercise, you are putting yourself in the position where you don't have to wait for life to challenge you. You are actually challenging yourself. It's like you're speed running the process by challenging yourself. You're inducing the challenge before it comes. And that is what grows you. That is what trains you to be better in art or in that skill. Now what you're doing is this. Instead of waiting for life to challenge you, you create the challenge and then put yourself in it. You create the challenge, then you challenge yourself by practicing. And that's what helps you become. That's what helps you, because what it does is that what you know now, what you understand, it becomes part of you. And finally, step 3, harvesting. Now this is the most rewarding step. All you have to do here is practically nothing. Nothing. What do I mean when I say it's the most rewarding step? Simple. What does an apple tree have to do to bear 4 apples. Be an apple tree. That's it. Now the magic of this step is this. When you reiterate between step 1 and 2, step 3 comes naturally. It's called the law of the farm. Funny enough, it's also in the Bible. What you reap is what you sow. Or rather, you reap what you sow. And the interesting thing about the law of the farm is this. You reap more than you sow. And also you reap later than you sow. And this, I think this has to be the most interesting part of it. You reap not where you sow, not where you sowed. You reap what you sow, not where you sowed. Now, what does this mean? Or why is this possible? Simple. Because repetition is the key to lasting impression. When you keep doing something over and over again, that same way you did it, every time you have to do it, it becomes a habit, it becomes second nature. And also, and very importantly, you grow from the person that does the thing to the person that can't help but do the thing. Simply put it, you grow from skill to ability. You grow from being capable to being able. Now, ever since I learned this principle, I've used it in basically every area I wanted to get better in. Whether it's 3D, animation, concept art, game art, prop art, music covers, or even just 2D illustration. I'm telling you, once you understand this, once you get this, you can't lose. There will be nothing that will be impossible for you to learn. It's just rinse and repeat from here. Now, here are some examples. In painting, I wanted to get better. I wanted to improve on my values. So I was doing a portrait study. Before that, I hopped on YouTube and I saw this video by TPPO or Tipo, where he was explaining what he learned from watching Wolop's process. Now in the video, he showed how Wolop not only applies contrast to shapes, values or colors, but also texture. And he does it in a very interesting way by mixing or by contrasting a textured background with a softly rendered subject. Or you could do the opposite. Now, still in that same video, there was an interesting part of Wolop's process where I noted down how he transitions from values to colors. And I learned that he uses curves, and this helps keeps the values consistent and helps you get really accurate with your color choice. Really accurate with your color choice. Now, after I learned this method, this was my first attempt. Now, even in the video, even in the time lapse playing in the background, you see me using multiple brushes, especially textured ones, and on the background. Now, I learned this watching one of the recent videos on Makubuchi's channel, how to get variety with brushes, digital brushes. It gives puts a sort of level of interest to your paintings. In his video, he mentioned using texture. Now, in his video, he mentioned rather than straight out illustrating the form or drawing the form, he mentioned using texture to imply the form, because the human eye can already detect what the form of the human body looks like or the form of certain shapes, but he used textures to imply it, and it made the whole scene interesting. Now I picked that and I applied it to this painting. I'm telling you, once you learn this stuff, you can't lose. And the best part about it is that the more you get better at applying this principle, the faster you become and the easier it becomes. What does that mean? The more you apply this principle to learn and master different skills, the faster you get at mastering anything. The faster you get at learning anything.